YouTube family, it's your girl Kim, the Princess of Transparency. Welcome back. So, today's topic, as you can see, is uncovering the mask, revealing and healing. So, before we get into it, I ask that you hit the like, share, and subscribe button. So, before we get into this, I want to give you some TLC. For you, it might be 10-11 care, but for me, it's transparency, lessons, and choices. So, my transparency and my truth that I've always had to live with is I've always had self-esteem issues. Recently, back in October of 2018, I was blessed with the opportunity to spend a weekend with some very powerful women, very influential women. And three of the most notable, one, my sister Kayi. She has a very powerful book, and I really suggest you look at it and cop that. And she has a wonderful channel herself. And also with Shamika Dean, the wonderful Dr. Shamika Dean. And also she brought along, at that time I didn't know who she was, but the wonderful Elisa Lachelle. I hope I'm saying it correctly. She had a pivotal quote during the session that I went to, which was the Ultimate Wives Club. We went to Tennessee. And she has a powerful quote that she always states that you can't heal what you won't reveal. And in turn, I turned it into myself that you can't recover what you don't uncover. Growing up, I always felt like I never had a sense of importance, that I never even had a sense of purpose. To be frankly honest, and even with this being said of my late father, there were a lot of things that were spoken into me that were hurtful, downright devastating, that I can recall one time I was told that I was an accident. It was supposed to be a joke, but it stayed with me. I can also recall a time where I was told, I'll keep it PG, I did stupid stuff. These were all things that kind of fed into me. And one of the most influential things was I was told that I was a broken refrigerator, that I couldn't keep anything to myself. Growing up at the age of 5 when that was said to me, I kept that close to my heart. And even with my mother, growing up in a black household, every mom would tell you, what happens in this house stays in this house. I took that to heart too. Every time I felt pain, all those darts of life were thrown at me, I kept it in. I internalized it more and more and more. At the age of 10 years old, after I was sexually assaulted twice, I never said anything to anyone because I didn't want to be that broken refrigerator anymore. I didn't want to continue to feel like I always was undeserving of love. That was my truth. I had no purpose. I was an accident. I was misplaced because somebody else displaced their emotions and their anger and their frustration out on me. Growing up, I got to a point of just feeling like I just didn't have anywhere to go, anywhere to run, that everyone that I loved, I lost, that I couldn't figure out my up from down, that I, at the age of 13, started drinking heavily, that I even started doing just silly stuff of trying to get myself to feel my emotions and connect the dots. And that's when I became influenced or encouraged myself to start cutting myself just to see if the pain was real. Then at the age of 17, that's when I started getting tattoos. And I got my very first one here. That was supposed to be the Chinese symbol for rock. That my foundation was strong, but it would never be broken. It developed into a habit that I had to cover. I had to mask myself. That every part of my body became manipulated in some sense. That I had to do something to hide the internal pain. And all of that was covered by external art, external distractions. So no one could see the real me. I didn't want anyone to have a sense of my ugliness, my imperfections. At 10 years old, I recall being over 200 pounds and always feeling ugly. And even now, at the age of 37, I still hold that 10-year-old girl, that 8-year-old girl who had a void, who simply wanted to be loved. But I couldn't. I wasn't, because I couldn't uncover my truths. I couldn't speak the hurt and the pain that was in my heart. I couldn't tell the secrets that became the lies, which were the generational curses that were passed down to me from my mother, from her mother, from whoever hurt her. That everything became a lineage of lies. Most recently, my 4-year-old daughter came up to me and told me that I was beautiful. It hurt. Not because of her speaking kind words into her mom, because she saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. She saw something in me that I always wanted for my parents to speak into me. She saw something in me that to this day I try my best to gratify inwards and outwards. It's a painful experience when you grow up lonely, but all you ever want to do is to be more than what the external factors who are supposed to build you up bring you down to be. So I grew up with the notion that I was stupid, that I was ugly, that I was unworthy. And I took that on and I held that on to me closer than a doll baby. And it became my dysfunction. It became my my self-abuse that I lived with and that I said hello to and good night to every day. That I could smile in somebody's face and feel like I'm internally dying every day. So now at the age of 37, because of the words of a 4-year-old, and knowing that I have 2 beautiful daughters and 2 handsome sons that were birthed through my body, I'm finally woke. Yeah, it's taken some time for me to really get myself together, but there's never a limitation on breaking yourself from a shell. There's never a limitation on being more than what you see yourself being. One of the things I never really grew up with, I knew of God, but I never knew who God was. You know, I always went to church on Easter and Christmas and Mother's Day and things like that. But I've realized and learned now, because of the simple acts of a 4-year-old, that God is real. That He's not just something that you dabble in. That everything that you go through in your life, nothing is wasted. The good and the bad, it all balances out because we don't live our lives for ourselves. We live our lives so others can be displayed and so God can always be gratified in every action that we do. It's not for our glory, it's all for God's glory. It's all for God's gain. We get some purpose from it and we find our purpose in it. And I thank God for Jesus. It's a quote that I've been saying to myself all day. Because of sacrifice and because of hurt and because of things that really weren't meant in some ways to be taken on, were taken on. to save me. So the simple acts of a 4-year-old have taught me and brought me to a place that I could finally take those wounds off. I could take those grave clothes off and take all this pain that I've been feeling and allowing to kill me every day. And I can, for the first time in a long time, cry happy tears and not feel like each and every day, because of shame, because of things that were beyond my control, I don't have to be that broken 8-year-old girl anymore. I don't have to be that broken 10-year-old girl anymore. I'm making the conscious choice to finally be a gratified woman. That I don't have to live by anybody else's definition. So I thank God for Jesus. Things can change, and my reality doesn't have to be my perception. So in closing, there's always a U-turn. Pain doesn't have to continuously be your reality. Allowing other people to define you will only kill you. You have to get to a point in your life that you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time for you to redefine yourself. So every day that God wakes you up and you have a pulse, you have a purpose. So live your life on purpose. Until next time, blessings.